All right, so there's this huge battle raging for the future of the internet. You've got tech leaders on one side, sounding the alarm bells, saying the web as we know it is basically dying. But then on the other side, you have the actual data, and that tells a way more complicated story. So what's the deal? Is this really the end, or is something else entirely going on? Okay, let's get into it.
And we're going to start right here. This is a quote from Matthew Prince, the CEO of Cloudflare. Now, this isn't just some random prediction, okay? This is a warning from a guy who literally helps run the internet's core infrastructure. So when he says AI is going to fundamentally change the business model of the web, yeah, he's signaling a massive ground-shaking shift in how everything operates.
So to really get what's at stake here, we've got to break down a key term you're probably hearing everywhere right now: zero-click.
Okay, so at its core, this is actually super simple. The zero-click internet is all about getting what you need without ever having to leave the page you're on. You know what I mean, right? You search for a movie's release date, and boom, Google just tells you. You don't have to click anything. You ask a question, and the answer is just right there. No clicking, no opening new tabs, just an instant answer. And this really breaks down the shift perfectly. The old way, well, it was kind of a partnership, right? You'd search on Google, you'd click a link, and a website would get a visitor. Simple. But the new way? It just cuts out that middle step entirely. You search, and AI spits out the answer, and you never, ever leave Google. That's the zero-click experience in a nutshell.
And this whole shift isn't just a technical thing. It's emotional. I think this Reddit user just hits the nail on the head, capturing a feeling a lot of us have. The web can feel like, well, a chore. It's just buried under ads and SEO junk. And this promise of a zero-click world, it's the idea that we can just slice right through all that noise.
Okay, so user frustration is one thing, but some tech leaders are taking this way further. We're talking about some seriously dramatic predictions. They're not just saying the web is changing. No, they're saying it is on the verge of a total collapse.
And I mean, listen to this quote from tech entrepreneur Josh Tyler. It's about as blunt as you can get. He is not mincing words at all. For him, this isn't some slow, gradual decline. It is a full stop. The idea of just visiting an independent website, he's saying that could become a thing of the past. Entirely.
And that fear? It's backed up by this, this number from Cloudflare's CEO. He claims a staggering 75% of searches on Google are now answered without a click. Think about that. That's 3 out of every 4 questions you ask Google getting an answer without sending a single visitor to any publisher's website.
And this really shows how the fundamental deal between Google and the people making stuff for the web has just fallen apart. A decade ago, the trade-off felt pretty fair, right? Google would scrape 2 pages of content, and in return, it would send 1 visitor to a website. But today it scrapes 6 pages to send that same single visitor. That value exchange is completely collapsing.
And the potential fallout from all this? It's enormous. If these predictions are even close to right, we're not just talking about a few blogs shutting down. This could mean the end of entire industries. We're talking digital publishers, the GoDaddies of the world, web hosting companies, ad networks, even the entire SEO industry. Just gone.
Okay, so that is the apocalyptic vision. And yeah, it's pretty bleak. But is it actually happening? This is where we need to just pump the brakes for a second and bring in a major reality check. Let's look at the actual data and see what's really going on.
So let's just ask the question straight up. With all this hype, all this fear, we should be seeing a massive, undeniable shift in how people are using the internet right now. But is that what the numbers really show?
Well, check this out. This data comes from a huge report that tracked desktop activity. Now, the blue bars, that's traditional search. And the little red bars, that's AI tools. I mean, just look at how tiny that red line is. Yeah, AI is growing, sure, but traditional search isn't just winning, it's playing in a completely different league. And Rand Fishkin, one of the guys who worked on this report, he puts it pretty bluntly. He says, despite all the media hype, the big AI takeover, it just isn't showing up in the data. Not yet. It's still a tiny, tiny piece of the pie. Okay, but what about that zero-click thing specifically? Let's zoom in on that. This chart breaks down what happens after someone in the US does a Google search. That blue section at the bottom, that's the zero-click searches. And as you can see, it has been remarkably stable. There was no huge spike when Google launched its big AI overviews feature. In fact, if you look closely, it actually dipped a little bit. And this isn't just some weird US trend either. The data from Europe tells the exact same story. The zero-click share is stable. And that big green chunk, that's still the biggest piece of the pie. And it's people clicking through to regular old websites.
So the apocalypse, it seems, has been delayed.
So if the web isn't dying, then what is going on? Because clearly the doom and gloom predictions don't really line up with the data. But the data does show that something big, something profound, is definitely changing. The web isn't vanishing, it's reorganizing, it's consolidating.
So, okay, the apocalypse isn't here. But the old web, it still feels like it's fading away, right? Which leads to a really important question. If it's not disappearing, where is all that traffic actually going?
Well, this table tells us a lot. It shows the top websites people went to from search engines in the US. We're looking at Q1 of 2024 versus Q1 of 2025, and let me tell you, the changes are huge.
Just look at the highlights. They really tell the whole story. YouTube jumps from number 2 all the way to number 1. ChatGPT, a total newcomer, is already in the top 5. And meanwhile, Reddit, the former king, slips down to number 3. And Amazon just takes a nosedive, plummeting from number 4 all the way down to 12.
So what's the big takeaway from all this? It's pretty clear. We're not spreading our clicks across a wide, diverse web of individual sites anymore. Instead, our attention, our traffic, it's all consolidating into just a handful of massive platforms, specifically video, social media, and AI.
All right, so we've seen the scary predictions, and we've looked at the real data. We know the web isn't dying. It's just consolidating. So what does this new reality actually mean for you, for me, for all of us?
Okay, let's boil it all down to the crucial takeaways. First off, the web apocalypse, it isn't here, at least not yet. Second, Google is still the king, but its role is changing. It's becoming more of a portal. Third, AI is growing into this incredibly powerful task engine. It's for doing things, not just finding them. Fourth, video is the absolute breakout star when it comes to how we discover information. And the biggest point of all, the web is consolidating, it is not dying.
And all of this leaves us with one last, really powerful thought. It comes from a user who was reflecting on the web's origins, and they asked this: was the internet intended to be a community garden or a shopping mall? Was this whole thing meant to be a place for us to share knowledge and connect? Or is it always going to end up as this consolidated, super optimized shopping mall? The data shows us where we're heading, for sure, but how we feel about that answer, well, that's going to define the very soul of the internet.